a teacher should not be telling a student that they should go and do subjects that are more prevalent among their ethnic groups.
As a teacher, I'm talking about from the teacher angle now.
Definitely, the school can do more in terms of being inclusive.
During my time in school, there were a lot of students who didn't like maths because of the teacher.
Yeah, I think the teacher, instead of them pulling that, we mentioned this earlier, that they put that, oh, you want to do something, you're not good at it because you failed this subject, and they put that child down in the presence of the class. It's not good. That is not a good way to go.
Many a times it's also the mentality and then the sense of being accepted in that group.
I got an A on that paper after it was
wow. Whenever he's faced with those kind of people, that gang sort of people, he feels more accepted by them because he feels like they can relate to him more.
Welcome to Wisdom for Exploit with me, Bola Amure. Today we have another educative discussion with my guest. Before we dive into this discussion, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel to get notified on our new videos. Thank you. So my guest, could you please introduce yourself before we dive into the topic for today?
Yeah. So my name is Kirkland McKay, and I'm really honored to be on this podcast. And just to share a bit in terms of my background, I'm an ordained minister, and I've worked with young people for over the last 10 years. I've supported youth within the communities in Leighton, in Newham, in Westminster and Camden areas. I've also served in different local churches where I've supported young people to accept the Lord's calling on their life and also to change their current way of living. I've worked with young people who were affiliated with gangs. I've also worked in collaboration with the London Metropolitan Police to support these young people back into employment and to help them to find new meaning and new purpose for their lives. And also I've done some youth work in Jamaica as well in my younger years. Wow. Where I've helped to shape and to support young people to accept the Lord as their personal Savior and to also carry on the journey of becoming stronger believers as well. So in a nutshell, that's me. And also I work as a registered manager in Westminster Council, where I support mainly older people, but from time to time I do also support younger people as well. And I have completed my BSc in operations management. So yeah, that's my background.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome to this talk show. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Over to you, my other guest.
All right. Thank you for having me. My name is Isaac Jemfi, also an ordained minister. I've been in the ministry for about 7 years now, getting to 8 years. And I'm one of the ministers in our ministry called More Christ Ministries, based in Tilbury Town. In terms of youth, in the past years, I used to be one of the youth service leaders when myself and family used to live back in Germany. So I have a bit of experience, also being the firstborn as well, a bit of experience, growing up around young people and also what it means to be an example, importance of being an example for them to follow. In terms of educational background, I've finished a degree in theology, and it was an interesting experience because it did sort of open my eyes or my mind in some things that we wouldn't normally consider in our usual circle. So it made me see some things outside the box. If that makes sense. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. It's my pleasure and my honor to be among this podcast today.
Thank you so much, my wonderful guest. Thank you. I'm so happy to have you on this podcast this afternoon. Yeah, today's topic, we're going to be looking at what role do you think school system play in preventing or encouraging gangs involvement in Black boys?
Yeah, I think the school has a big role to play, because that's where a lot of values and morals can be instilled. And our teachers. So, like, for example, during my time in school, there were a lot of students who didn't like maths because of the teacher.
Yeah.
Like the approach of the teacher, right? Or some for other reasons.
I don't like maths.
But I felt like the way how I felt about a particular subject was on the basis of how the teacher was to me as well, and how they supported me, and how that belief that they shown towards me. So I think that this can be applied to other areas of life as well. I think that I think our teachers should be paid more. I think the job that they're entrusted with, I think they should be paid more. But I also feel like they also need to take more responsibility for also shaping and how they shape the lives of these young people that are placed in their care. And I feel like the schools sometimes can be more inclusive of people from different backgrounds. And because, a teacher should not be telling a student that they should go and do subjects that are more prevalent among their ethnic groups. And things like that should be addressed very, very strongly to make sure that the school environment is inclusive, it's safe, and it's inspiring.
Yes,
that's a good one. 100%. I think with the school, when you mentioned that the teacher should not be comparing them with their ethnic group, I think there is a way people can pass message. You see, you might see a child that I think this child, maybe a child said, okay, I want to go into science. And because you see a child, you see the potential in that child, that this child, I think, as a teacher, I'm talking about from the teacher angle now, because there is a way to go about it. Yeah, I'm talking about, I'm just talking about from the teacher. No, I'm not a teacher.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying this from the teacher point of view.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the teacher, instead of them pulling that, we mentioned this earlier, that they put that, you want to do something, you're not good at it because you failed this subject, and they put that child down in the presence of the class. It's not good. That is not a good way to go. You see, a teacher knows some children that carry certain potentials.
Right.
You must see in a child that said, okay, you are very good at maybe in arts, or you're good at dancing, or you're good at in music, or you're good in, you like to talk, you could be a journalist, you could be a lawyer. Then they will not have time to sit down with that child. Why did you choose to study science? You're good at this. Have you seen? That you see, but these days is like even the teacher, they don't care. And this is why the issue we're having. Although I know some kids, maybe teachers too, they're scared of some kids that they think that, they're going to beat them up, because we've had so many things in schools that some boys, they stab their teachers, some even beat them up. Yeah, some beat them up. And, and that's why I think we have a reduction now in people going into teaching.
And can I just add to that, interestingly, right? So just on that particular example that I shared. So this teacher who actually suggested that I should change class and move to a different class, I had to do a coursework paper. So I think it was EdExcel governing body who was regulating that course. And before, when you do the course, the teacher have to mark it and give you a grade. So that teacher looked at my assignment and she gave me a D. Right? Yeah. So yeah, thankfully they have to be a second marker.
Yes.
It's part of the edX board, and then when they remark that paper, they thankfully they handpicked my paper to be remarked, because they normally pick the low ones, the middle one, the higher ones.
Wow.
And can I tell you that I got an A on that paper after it was remarked. And
That's a big difference.
It was the highest mark in the entire class.
So why did they give you D in the first place?
Well, you
That's
tell
the
me.
question.
Yeah. So and also I'm not good enough to be in that class as well, right? So
why is trying to discourage you?
So
yeah, this is what we're saying.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that I don't believe that I'm the only person who experienced something like that in the classroom. And this is where I think that the school need to do more to support our young people, instead of looking for avenues to demotivate them and discourage.
I think if there's a motivative place or a more inclusive place, the school should be on the top, because our children spend, like I said earlier, spend most of their times in schools, and if they are not feeling accepted and included, then it's easy for them to then rely on other things like gangs and stuff. You like the minister said, it's such a typical example. The teacher has to be you for what you carry inside of you, not for your skin color. It has to see you for the qualities that you possess, and therefore mentor and guide you towards what will be suitable for those gifts. Not look at how you look like or look at your ethnic minority before passing a judgment. I think that can really bring down a child's confidence and and aspiration. So definitely the school can do more in terms of being inclusive, and and I think another thing is that I would mention is also include in their curriculum, and with this particular subject of gang and youth crimes and stuff, touching on the consequences, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Because they need to know the consequence, and this, because love this child, they're just doing what they're doing, they're naive, but they don't know the consequence until they end up in prison. And now they end up in prison, maybe they spend the whole of their years, they were meant to be in the university. And now their mates are coming now, they're doctors already, they're lawyers already, and they're just coming out of prison from secondary school. So the consequences, I think the consequences should be, written in a broad line and said, you do this, think about your future, Yes. And I think, as you said as well, the family, the background matters a lot, because the parent needs to talk about this and even continue to encourage the child or remind them that, what, you are born for this purpose, you are born for this purpose. I think, but some parents don't care, because I believe that some parents, when their kids bring them a lot of money, they don't even want to care where they brought the money from. Which is another thing that is a bit alarming. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you. So do you think poverty is the root cause of gang involvement, or is there any more to the story? What is your take?
I think poverty does contribute.
Like I mentioned.
Because I think it goes deeper than that. It's about sometimes the anger that comes from imagine you got a young black boy or a young boy from any culture who they've got a child who need to go back to school, and they don't have the money to get their uniform. And they know that child, they're going to have to go home and see that child, and they can't provide for that child in the way that they'd want to. That's a lot of frustration. That can lead to a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, disappointment, discouragement. And then, they go out into the street, they're in the market, they're hustling, and someone step on their toe or someone knock into them or something. That anger can then come to the forefront. And before you know it, they're lured into different avenues to get money because no father wants to be in a situation where they can't meet the basic needs of their child. And I think that poverty does play a role. And that's why it's important for us to give our young people hope and exposure to different routes where they can get into good employment, where they can meet the basic needs of their family and also themselves.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you want to contribute to that?
Yeah, I was just meditating on whether poverty is the root cause or is just one of the reasons that would get young people into society, because many a times it's also the mentality and then the sense of feeling accepted in that group. For you may know, some people, because they feel misunderstood by their own family, by their own parents. They're always being scolded at. They always feel like, my dad doesn't understand me. He's always criticizing me. My mom, but whenever he's faced with those kind of people, that, gang sort of people, he feels more accepted by them because he feels like, yeah, they can relate to him more. So I think rejection can be a big factor as well. So that's one of the examples of one of the reasons being, or main reasons being, like the mentality, not necessarily like the physical thing of what they're going through. Some people, I believe some of the gang members come from a rich home.
Yes,
yeah.
Not all, yeah.
So I believe I would say poverty is one of the main reasons, but it's not necessarily, or may not necessarily be the root cause of why they find themselves in that state.
Yeah, I agree to that. Thank you for that intake. If we could throw a huge community event aimed at preventing gang involvement, what activities or workshops will you include? That goes to our community mentor, youth mentor.
I think career opportunities for ex-offenders, I think that would be good, because it can be very, very difficult to get into employment when you've got a police record or you've been into prison. So I think that type of, and charity organizations that also offer paid employment to these type of individuals would be good to have in attendance, because if we can take these young people out of that system, but then is the struggle going to become too much where they think to themselves, I need to go back because I had more money,
it's become hard for them.
Yeah. So what's that transition going to look like? And for us who are believers for quite some time, we understand what it means, like to deny ourselves and to go through difficult periods. But for a new convert, how would they handle those periods? So that's why I think that having those practical career opportunities that are tailored for them, that would be good to have at that workshop or conference.
That's good. Anyone? Any more contribution? No.
Yeah, I think it's also good to have hold conferences where you'll be able to invite youth ministers, but also Minister Kirk says, invite ex-offenders, right? People that have been there before, to come and speak to the young people, so they understand what it means to be in there, what the consequences are, and how, and to also instill hope as well, that there is a way out. You can definitely have a better life and a better future than what you're going through now, or where you find yourself now. There's a better way of acquiring yourself what you want to acquire in life than having to go through this route. Just sort of spark that dream, that vision, that hunger in them to achieve what they want, but in a more sort of appropriate way than through the gang, because obviously through the gang will prevent you, rather, actually, because the people that find themselves in that environment, their ends are always not a good one. So if you want to achieve your dreams, then this is not the route to go. And then they can sort of testify about how their lives have been since they came out. And as they do so, I think that would motivate them to sort of want to come out from that environment and to be where these people or these ex-offenders find themselves as well. So I think holding conferences and conferences and events like that would be helpful.
That's good. That's bottom. I remember I went to a conference many years ago, and they invited. This was before lockdown, though. They invited this guy. There was a guy, and there's another pastor. I hope I still have that pastor contact. This pastor is been into different kind of offenses, been to prison so many times. So I believe God is not using him, to encourage all this young chap, even those people that go into robbery and all those stuff, not even only gang and all those stuff, and drugs and all those stuff. So that pastor is really good. And there's this guy too was telling them, saying, prison is not a good thing. It was just advising some guys. So there are people like that, truly. So that's a very good point, that ex-offender experience, will make them say, okay, when they come, let's listen to them. And when they listen to them, they might be touched. And then they say, we just want our ways of life.
Like, I don't want this life anymore.
That's very good one. That's very good one. Thank you. So, do you think black boys who join gangs are simply seeking acceptance, or is there something deeper driving their decisions? We mentioned
I think I agree with it.
Yeah, I think acceptance is a big part. Yeah,
acceptance is the big part, if not the main part, to be honest. I can barely think of what would be the other reason apart from the poverty side that you mentioned earlier, better living or like quick money or whatever. Apart from that, I think what one of the main ones is them feeling accepted, because remember a little while ago I was talking about rejection and them feeling accepted in that society. That's a huge motivating factor for them to get involved in such environment. But also I think as parents we should encourage them, our children, to shun or avoid bad company, and we should sort of give them guidelines, the signs of when to notice, this is not good for me, I should withdraw myself, I should distance myself. Something to give an extra attention to as well, and
to know your children friends, isn't it? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and also to advise them, the warning signs, about the warning signs and everything, so they can stay away from, because this is speaking from the scriptural perspective about bad company, which means if you surround yourself rather with godly company, then it will do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's most likely to do so.
Yeah, true. That's cool. Thank you.